It's almost the worst thing you can do in almost any experience is have too much expectations. You can have thoughts of how it might be gonna go, but then if it doesn't, what are you gonna do? You know, like Tiger Woods used to have this thing where he'd close his eyes. I think some sports therapist told him, close your eyes and imagine a perfect shot, like your perfect backswing, hitting it perfectly, landing on the green 4 feet from the cup. And he would do that, imagine it, and then go and do it. That's his expectation. But sometimes he'd shank one into the high grass. And he can't just go, well, I thought I'd be on the green. He'd be like, it's a new moment. I'm in the high grass and I gotta figure out a way to fucking get out of that over the sand with water behind it and hit this new shot. You know, you can have expectations, but don't stick to them. Stage fright's a real thing. It's debilitated some people. Liz Phair, I think she never toured because she had stage fright, which was too bad. She was great. She's a musician. Maybe it's a bad example, but I used to be really frightened. My first time on stage, I had to do like 2 shots, guzzle a beer, and then sip another beer just to get my hands down to like that from that. It's a real thing. I know some people have taken beta blockers. They've taken pills to like get rid of that fear. I think with experience, you just get over it. I had a time at DC Improv where I was coming out from backstage and I threw up in my mouth. And I had to fucking swallow it back down. It was like, this next guy, he's originally from Silver Spring. You know, as they're saying that, he's like, please welcome. I had to go out there like that. And I wasn't expecting it, but that was real. I don't know what happened. I just got nervous. And then there was a time where I went home to do some like job. So I was maybe a year, 2 years into comedy, went home to this job, came back and was I haven't thought about this in a while. I was overcome by fright. I couldn't get back on stage. I couldn't do it. I would drive from my apartment in West LA, 30 minutes towards the Comedy Store, find parking, get out of my car, walk to the Comedy Store, because you get an employee spot every week, and I was an employee, so you get your 3 minutes, and it was the highlight of your week. And I would park, go in, turn around, get back into my car, and go home without getting on stage. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. It's like a real thing. Remember Lost when he said how he dealt with like fear, when he's getting so 5 seconds to let the fear in, and then not the last 2 years of Lost, but the first 5 good years. So what I did was that was going to be the end for me. If I can't go on stage, I can't be a comic, you know. So what I did was I told myself like, do something where it's going to go bad, where you know that ahead of time. Because like, what's the worst that can happen? You know, that kind of thing. You tell somebody, they ask that girl out, what's the worst that can happen? She'll say no. And you're like, yeah, but there's like bigger fear. And then once you've asked the girl out enough times, a woman, out enough times, and you've gotten rejected a bunch of times, you're like, oh, that's not that big a deal. What's she gonna say? I have a boyfriend, or oh, I don't really want to. It's like, okay, it's like a little piece of like, that didn't feel good, and then it's fine. But experience gives you that. So I went to the Comedy Store. I said, I'm not going to say a word. In my head, I'm like, I'm not going to say anything for my whole time I'm on stage, and I'm just going to see what happens. So I went in, I put my like tape recorder down, I like press record, and then I was like, and then I just kept looking around, and just 3 minutes of silence. Like, this can't go well, so like, it's not gonna affect me if it doesn't, because I'm trying to tank it. But then I could get on stage. I could feel what it's like in front of the crowd. I actually got a couple laughs, just off like, you know, shrugs and stuff and how ridiculous it was. And it was the fucking open mic, so it was like the bar wasn't set too high. But like, and then after that, I was able to get back on stage again. I was like, that's the worst. I can handle the worst. So now let me go. Turns out the worst is worse than that. The worst is when you bomb. And when you bomb in front of someone you're trying to impress, that's the worst. But that didn't come until way later. so I was able to, I had to hide by then. But yeah, that's one method I did. I went into it with like, let's suck. Just to do it. You gotta get over it. I don't know. It sucks, but you gotta get over it. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily suggest people do that, but it worked for me. You know, I heard this story of who's the guy from Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, I heard he would go into auditions in Hollywood, and they'd sit down and be like, "All right, we're calling you." And he goes, "Oh no, I actually don't want to do this." And they're like, "What do you mean? You don't want to do the audition?" He goes, "I don't want to do the part. I just appreciate you calling me in, but this is not a part for me. So thank you. But all right, thanks anyway." And he would leave. They'd be like, "What the fuck?" And Spielberg, I guess, caught wind of it. It was like, who's this guy turning down fucking parts all over Hollywood? What the fuck? These are high-level parts. And I don't know how much of this is just like truth or just story, but like eventually he was like, gave him a part that he wanted. Now, you can't do that now. Because if you did that, your casting director would call your agent, be like, why are you sending people to waste my time? Don't send that guy in. And then your agent would call you and say, hey, what the fuck, man? Just say you don't want to do the audition. Don't fucking go in and waste people's time. And it would never work. It worked for Richard Dreyfuss in that era at that time. It wouldn't work for anybody else. It would get you in trouble now. But find your own thing. So I don't know, maybe that silent thing, maybe that would work for you, but I don't know, maybe not. But find your own thing. Figure out a way to get back on stage. Because once you do it a few times, you'll get over it. Unless it's like a clinical thing. I don't know about clinical like stage fright. That might be worse than I'm talking about. But if it's like normal stage fright, get over it.